My grandmother told me this story. We were playing in the yard and she used to watch us from the window until the soft blue light began to fade. I wish I had listened more closely, but I was always impatient to be off, playing with the others. Now all I have are a few of those stark memories. In salutem omnium. It began this way. The rocks were in the path of every Atlantic storm from Newfoundland to Tearne. Emigrant ships foundered on rocks. There's nothing new about that. My great-grandfather and two of his sons died on those rocks long before they built the lighthouse to lighten the darkness in the swelling seas. They built it during my grandmother's childhood. Can you imagine what the light revealed? At the time they had cried out, "They are putting out the fires of Tearne. They are banishing the people. This is a bad dream, an exodus." It was very dark when they knocked over the milk and put out the fire with a hiss and dunt and a fume of white smoke. My grandmother was just a child, but still she saw things that ought to have been hidden. Relics of the war yet to come, flashes of light. She was a little psychic, touched in the head, everyone said. Do you understand? She saw glimpses of things we others could not see. She saw destruction as it rose, and she saw life sucked out like the tide. And while we saw wild flowers in the little burn, which cuts its way down a path, while we saw sea moss and pebbles, she saw that Exodus was a part of life. It was she who first told me of the deportations of 1851. They thought there could be nothing worse, that it would never happen again. To leave your hearth and all its warmth. Hearth is like heart, she said. It is the centre of everything. There were people who clutched a piece of black earth, their toes peat-stained and soaked with the damp grass, right here where I stand now, walking over a circle of flowers. There were birds bursting into song, unhatched eggs, a rough grey stone. These were the things they wanted to be buried with. There will never be a clearance as this. Never, they said. Never, never, never. Some said cleansing was a biological process according to the laws of nature, but when it actually happened, what it did to the exterminators and the exterminated, that was never talked about. So that forever there will be a sense of wrong, a bad feeling to that place, a memory. And when what had been done in the heart of darkness all those years before was repeated again in other places a century later, no one recognised it. No one wished to admit what everyone knew. Don't you know, my grandmother said, there are many other places with this feeling. Places where the Atlantic does not reach, places where there are no lighthouses. I found this thought hard to believe. For the strange wailing sound and the long motley procession, men bidding farewell to wives, daughters, old women too feeble to walk, placed in carts with their bundles, seemed of this place alone. Children's blank faces, she told me it would happen again. A man, a boot, more men, more boots, endlessly through the whole wide valley, and other valleys all over the world, in every conceivable time zone the darkness lived on, with no lighthouse built in men's hearts. But none of this accounts for the sadistic wasting of the milk that night, pale and richly white in the moonlight, and my great-grandmother's face as she watched the burning of her croft. They lived out their lives with the stigma of that empty township, the relics of war plodding the brave. In this way we can recover the events, but never the emotions.